I'm 76 years old and I just buried the last person who really knew me, not my wife. She's been gone 6 years now, not my children. They know a version of me, the one I let them see. I'm talking about my younger brother. He died 2 weeks ago, and at his funeral, I realized something that's been sitting in my chest ever since, getting heavier every day. I spent my whole life preparing for a future that never came, and now I'm in it, and I'm alone, and there's nothing left to prepare for. I need to tell you what that feels like. Not because I think you'll learn from it, most people don't, but because maybe if I'd heard this when I was 40, something might have been different, though I doubt it. When I was 28, I got married to a woman named Helen. She worked at the library downtown. I was finishing my accounting degree at night while working at a hardware store during the day. We didn't have much. Our apartment was small enough that you could stand in the kitchen and reach the bathroom door. But we were building something. That's what we told ourselves. This was temporary. This was the foundation. Helen wanted kids right away. I wanted to wait until we had a house, until I had a better job, until things were stable. She said okay. She trusted me. By the time I was 35, I had the better job. I was working for a mid-sized firm doing corporate tax returns. The hours were long, but the pay was steady, and we'd just bought a house in a neighborhood with good schools. We had 2 kids by then. A son, Michael, who was 4, and a daughter, Sarah, who was 2. Helen stayed home with them. I went to work. That was the deal. That was what made sense. I remember those years as busy, always something to handle, always behind on something. The mortgage, the car payment, saving for college, saving for retirement. The roof needed fixing. The furnace went out one winter and cost us $3,000 we didn't have. I was stressed a lot. I'd come home tired, eat dinner, help put the kids to bed, then go over paperwork at the kitchen table until midnight. Helen would say things sometimes, gentle things. Michael asked about you today. Sarah drew you a picture. They miss you. And I'd feel guilty for about 10 seconds. Then I'd think about the bills, the mortgage, the fact that my job was the only thing keeping us afloat. I'd tell myself I was doing this for them, that once things settled down, I'd have more time. I really believed that. By the time I was 42, I'd made partner at the firm. It came with a significant raise and even longer hours, but I told Helen this was it. This was what we'd been working toward. Now we could breathe. Except I didn't breathe. I took on more, bigger clients, more responsibility. I convinced myself this was what successful men did, provided, built, secured the future. Michael was in middle school. Sarah was in 4th grade. I went to some of their events, not all of them. Most, I told myself. But when I look back now, I'm not sure that's true. I remember Helen asking me once if I was happy. We were in bed. The lights were off. I could tell from her voice she'd been thinking about it for a while. I said, of course I was happy. We had everything we needed. The kids were healthy. We had a good life. She didn't say anything for a long time. Then she said, I think you're happy with what you've accomplished. I'm not sure you're happy with us. I told her that was ridiculous, that everything I did was for us. She rolled over. The conversation ended. I didn't think about it again for years. Michael left for college when he was 18. State school, full ride. I was proud. I'd done my job. He had opportunities I never had. He called home once a week at first, then every other week, then mostly just on holidays. When he graduated, he took a job in another state. He said it was a great opportunity. I agreed with him, told him to go for it. He's 48 now. I've seen him maybe 15 times in the last 25 years. Sarah stayed closer, She went to a college 2 hours away, met someone, got married at 24. I walked her down the aisle. I gave a speech. I don't remember what I said. I remember people laughed at some point. I remember thinking I'd done okay. She has 3 kids now. They're 14, 11, and 8. I've met them. I send birthday cards. I'm in their lives in the way grandparents are supposed to be, I think. But when I'm honest with myself, I know they don't really know me, and I don't really know them. I'm the old man who shows up at Christmas with gifts and asks surface questions. Helen started getting sick when she was 67, breast cancer. It came back twice. The third time it didn't leave. She lived another 14 months. And during those 14 months, I finally did what I'd been saying I'd do for 40 years. I stopped working. I was there. Every doctor's appointment, every treatment, every bad night. I thought it would bring us closer. But there was this distance. Even when I was holding her hand, I could feel it. One night, maybe 2 months before she died, she looked at me and said, "You're a good man. You really are." I said, "Thank you." She said, "But I've been lonely for a very long time." I didn't know what to say, so I just sat there. She patted my hand and closed her eyes. We never talked about it again. After she died, I thought my kids would need me more, that we'd lean on each other, that grief would pull us together. Michael came to the funeral. He stayed 3 days. We had a few conversations. They were polite. He went back to his life. Sarah checked on me for a few months, called every week, then every other week. Then it drifted back to what it had been before. I'm not angry about it. I don't blame them. I think they love me the way you love someone you're supposed to love. Obligatory, distant. I don't think they like me very much. And the hardest part is, I'm not sure I know them well enough to like them either. My brother was different. He was 3 years younger than me. Never married. Worked as a mechanic his whole life. Lived modestly. Never made much money. I used to think I'd done better than him, that my life was more successful. But he had friends, real ones, people who showed up. When he got sick, his house was full of visitors, people who'd known him for decades, people who told stories I'd never heard. At his funeral, the room was packed. At Helen's funeral, it was mostly family and a few old neighbors. I'm not sure who'll come to mine. I'm sitting in a house that's too big for one person. The mortgage was paid off years ago. I have money in retirement accounts. I have a car I barely drive. I have everything I worked for. And I'm alone. Not because Helen died. Not because my kids moved away. I'm alone because I built a life that didn't need me in it. I thought providing was the same as being present. I thought security was the same as love. I worked 50 years to give my family a good life, and somewhere along the way, I stopped being part of it. The thing that keeps me up at night isn't regret exactly. It's simpler than that. It's the realization that I can't go back. I can't relive Michael's childhood. I can't have the conversations with Helen I was too tired to have. I can't build a relationship with my grandchildren because I never built one with their mother. You can't make up for lost time. People say that as a motivational thing, like it'll make you appreciate the present. But I mean it literally. The time is gone. What didn't happen will never happen. I thought I had more time. I thought there'd be a phase of my life where things slowed down and I could finally focus on what mattered. But there's no switch. There's no moment where work suddenly becomes less important and people suddenly become more important. You just keep choosing the same things you've always chosen until you run out of choices. I'm 76. If I'm lucky, I have 10 years left, maybe 15, and I'll spend them the same way I've spent the last 6, mostly alone, wondering what my kids are doing, wondering if my grandchildren will remember me. I'm not telling you this because I want pity. I don't. I'm telling you because I see you out there. I see people my kids' age, my grandkids' age, making the same choices I made, telling themselves they'll slow down later, telling themselves their families understand, telling themselves that providing is enough. And maybe it is for some people. Maybe some of you will figure out how to balance it better than I did. But if you're anything like me, you won't. You'll keep saying tomorrow until there are no tomorrows that matter. I'm not going to tell you to quit your job or delete your email or spend every second with your kids. That's not realistic, and it's not what I'm saying. I'm saying pay attention to what you're choosing. Really pay attention. Because the things you think will wait won't wait. Your kids will grow up. Your spouse will stop asking you to be present. Your parents will die. Your friends will drift away. And you'll tell yourself it's natural. That's just how life goes. But it's not. It's how life goes when you're not paying attention. I wasn't paying attention, and now I'm here, in a quiet house, with a life behind me that feels like it belonged to someone else. I don't know if this will mean anything to you. I hope it does, but I also know that most of you will read this, feel something for a moment, then go back to exactly what you were doing, because that's what I would have done. I just hope you figure it out faster than I did, because I thought I had more time, and I was wrong.